This is a story you've never heard before. A story of hope in the face of despair, of success in spite of all the obstacles, of grit and tenacity. And it's all true. This is a blistering account of one woman's incredible journey. From a young girl forced out of her home by her mother's threats, taken to a youth shelter on Christmas night, to redefining her life on her own terms by pursuing her dreams and talents, playing on some of the biggest stages in the world, and building a multi-million-dollar business from the ground up. She was too young to do it all alone, yet took the steps to make it on her own. This is a story that proves it's not enough to be resilient. You've got to be Relentless by Natasha Miller. Homeless teen to achieving the entrepreneur dream. A memoir you won't be able to put down. Get your copy today. Be relentless.
All right. Hello and welcome to the Metaverse Book Launch Summit for Relentless, Homeless Teen to Achieving the Entrepreneur Dream by Natasha Miller. We are super honored and thrilled to have all of you here today to celebrate this launch. Prepare to immerse yourselves in everything that is Relentless and Natasha Miller. For the next 2 hours, you'll be able to explore the virtual venue, network with fellow attendees, interact with entertainment, win prizes, and hear from thought leaders, athletes, entrepreneurs, and more, including Natasha herself. We'll be giving away up to $3,500 in prizes, so make sure you stay tuned the whole time so you don't miss a thing. Before we get these festivities really going, we'd like to say a big thank you to our virtual venue sponsors, AllSeated ExVo. For those of you who are familiar with this space, welcome back. For those of you who are experiencing the platform for the first time, thank you for trying something new and joining us. I tell you, it's kind of new for me as well. We promise that you're going to want to come back. Now, if you do get lost, if you find yourself stuck, just reach out to technical support and they will help you. We'd also like to thank our official event sponsors, San Francisco Magazine and nonprofit partner, Covenant House. A portion of all book, ticket, and speaking engagement sales will be donated to Covenant House. So when you support Relentless, you're also helping provide housing and supportive services to youth facing homelessness. Now, as I mentioned earlier, throughout the next 2 hours, we'll be giving away some incredible prizes, including a signed hard copy of Relentless, a Relentless embossed gold vermeil necklace. Now, I had to ask Natasha how to pronounce it because apparently it's French, but it's a gold embossed vermeil necklace and a Be Relentless influencer box, which includes both of those gifts and more. And here's one thing, though, that I noticed. I didn't get one of those boxes, Natasha, so we're going to have to talk about that after. I want one of those boxes. Now, even if you don't win one of those prizes, you're going to want to stay the whole time to be educated, inspired, and entertained. Stay after for one-on-one conversations with Natasha herself and other speakers. Now, without further ado, please help me welcome the author of Relentless, the creative mind behind entire productions, and my good friend, Natasha Miller.
Mike Alden, thank you so much. You are a treasure. Mike and I met last December, and we just were fast friends ever since. So thank you so much for being up here. By the way, Mike, we didn't tell you, but I didn't send you a voicemail, but it's ExVo. That is the platform we're on, and it is owned by AllSeated, and it is phenomenal. So I'm just going to give you a couple of things. When I'm speaking and when I'm being interviewed and when there's some things happening up here, you'll be brought to the stage. Otherwise, you're free to mingle, walk around, enjoy the booth, but come back for the speakers. It's really what I'm most looking forward today to. So of course, I want you to hear about me in the book, but you guys have all heard about it already. But I did want to talk about why I wrote the book and what the vision is for the book Relentless and things going on in the future. I started writing this book 4 years ago, and I had enough time after struggling to appreciate the challenges that I had and I felt juxtaposed with the successes that I've also experienced. So it was a really good time in my life where I wasn't out for vengeance. I wasn't out for revenge. I didn't want to hurt anyone. And that's really a key point in figuring out when the right time is to publish your memoir. You can start writing it before if you feel a lot of angst, but you need to iron out the kinks before you let it out into the wild. I really wanted to leave a legacy, and what I've done for my family, ancestry, DNA stuff going forward is I really stopped dead in its tracks some pretty negative situations that I think could have continued to go generation to generation. And that's one thing I hope that you take from the book, that you can reverse and rewrite your own story. You can rewrite your history in your life. I didn't set out to make this book an inspirational, motivational, how to succeed in life book. And it's not prescriptive. There's not a to-do list. You don't have to get out your pen and paper and take notes. I don't tell you what to do. I just take you through the story of my life. And hopefully from that, you'll absorb whatever it is that you need to absorb in your own life journey, wherever you are in your story right now. And maybe, hopefully, I'll have some sort of impact on you positively. I wanted to inspire people, yes, but I thought that the target audience would be entrepreneurs because that's my community, that's my ecosystem. Then I realized, wait a minute, I'm a woman, I'm a female, so I'll probably impact and reach more women. But as I was speaking about my story in the last couple of years, I've been really interested to see and hear and feel the feedback from men. So this book isn't female focused or female centered, even though it is about me. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how it will affect every or anyone. I didn't know how much it would impact people until the trusted readers started reading it. And those are people that I asked to read the book after it was almost done, to tell me, where did you get lost? Where were you bored? What were you like, oh, why is she writing about that? They were really prompted to answer those critical questions instead of, oh, that was great. Like, you're such a great writer. I didn't want that. So a couple of those readers are Dee Dee D'Erico, Jane Solomon, Becky Donner, like really great, very formidable, successful, incredible women. I started to get an inkling of the impact that I'd have from them, but they knew me. Then people started reading it to give me endorsements. And sometimes you don't have to read a whole book in order to give an endorsement, right? You can read a couple of chapters or read a few lines here and there and just write an endorsement if you feel like you trust and know and like me enough. But what I was finding, people were reading the whole thing from cover to cover. And I'm getting texts saying, oh my God, this is amazing. You're really going to help people. So that started giving me some more information about what it might be like. And then the book started going out to podcasters and the media and people that were interviewing me. And I was caught off guard a few times in a row that they had received the book, because my team, my incredible team, Carly, Madeline, Talia, Rachel, Patty, they had the book and they were helping me get all this done. And so I'd be on an interview and I'd be like, oh my God, they read the book. I can no longer hide. I've put out a lot in this book. And the feedback from them and all the flags and all the highlights and all the questions that they were asking me was showing to me, these are people that don't know me, that don't know, like, and trust me, and they were engaged. It's the best feeling in the world. It's now becoming bigger than me and my story. My vision is that I want to help people tell their stories, find their voice, give them a voice, be seen and heard, especially if they were never seen and heard before. I really wasn't, as a young person growing up, and I was always waiting for someone to save me. And you'll see the message in the book is no one's coming to save you. You have to save yourself. And you are completely equipped to do that. So after this experience that has been incredibly wonderful, complicated, mind-blowing, and continues to be and probably will continue to be. I want to help other people, you guys, write your own story, write your memoir, figure out the best publishing path for you. Some of you may be like, I don't want anyone to read it. Maybe you want to leave it as a legacy for your family. Maybe you do want it published. Maybe you want to use it as a business card for your company. Maybe you want to go out and try to make big waves in the world and help people change and improve their lives. Whatever your reason is, I want to be there to help you do that. And that's part of my future. And then, oh my gosh, you guys, I can't even explain to you the marketing of this book has created these bags and these lines around my eyes. It's been so much fun and I love it. I did it to myself. I had a 25-point marketing plan, as many of you know. I had an incredible small army of people helping me with it, including NG Enterprises, who you'll hear from their CEO today. It takes a village, a small army. It takes a lot of planning. And again, I really love branding and marketing exercises. So this is part of my new endeavor. I don't reflect too much in the book about the sacrifices I made. I always heard that growing up. Like, I remember the concert master of my symphony when I was in high school. Her name was Chris Musser. She was a few years older than me. And she said, I'm going to take the weekend off. I'm not going to go to any parties on Friday and Saturday because I have to practice my violin. And she was saying that like it was a sacrifice. And to her, it was, because she was very popular and had lots of things to do. But everything I did to get to where I am today were choices. And looking back, I don't consider any of them sacrifices. You may know that when I quit my job as a media buyer to do music full time, I moved from a craftsman home, standalone home that had higher rent into a 1-bedroom garden apartment. Bennett, I know you're here. I know you like to remind people it was a basement apartment. That to some people would be a huge sacrifice. It was a 1-bedroom. My daughter had her bunk bed above me and I slept underneath. That wasn't a sacrifice. It was a choice. So if you are looking to do something that you have to let go of other things to do, maybe consider thinking of them as a choice rather than a sacrifice. And I want to make sure that everyone knows that, a lot of people say that I've been resilient. And honestly, everybody here has had to be resilient in their lives, even before the pandemic. But it's not really enough to be resilient. You have to be relentless in your pursuit of your goals, your dreams, and your successes. So that's what I wanted to share with you about the book right now. I want to say so much more. I think I'm a little bit short on what I'm saying, so I want to see if I can bring up Amber Vilhauer of NG Enterprises. I think that's next up. Yes, it is. And she is a force to be reckoned with. Hello, darling.
I am so honored to be here. I mean, I know that people normally say that, but like I am overjoyed in this moment. I have been watching Natasha for the past year build up to this moment, and I'm like choked up for you, Natasha. This is amazing. This is like, look at what you have built. Look at what you've built. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, not by myself, but yes, thank you.
Yeah, I have her book right behind me. I want to be holding it. So what I'm going to be doing is like probably holding up this postcard from time to time that I got in her box. I told Mike, I'm sorry, I wish I could have given this to you virtually somehow. So I got it.
Mike, you'll get a box. I just didn't want to bug him.
We were talking backstage, Natasha, about your rankings on Amazon and the various retailers. You are skyrocketing the rankings right now, climbing up as people are buying your book. It's flying off the shelves. I'm just, again, so happy for you in this moment. And it was really an honor to be chosen to interview you. And I have been poring over what on earth I should ask you, because there are so many facets of the book that were so raw and so real and so important. But then I also have the pleasure of knowing your vision and your business entrepreneurial self and the part of you that's a mom and a performer. So I had to pick carefully, but I do encourage you guys in the audience to think of what questions you might want to ask Natasha yourself and put it in the chat as we go through this brief discussion. But Natasha, there was a time in my early 20s when I sat down to write my own story, and it was a thrill ride. And I have to ask you that in that time of writing, it took a lot of courage. It took a lot of guts to put out some of the details that happens to any of us. I mean, imagine writing your whole life story on paper for the whole world to see. So, Natasha, my first question for you is really around the courage that you had to write this book. And were you nervous about what your daughter would think? Were you nervous about what your family might think, or what would happen, what the repercussions would be of telling the truth to this degree? And how did you navigate that?
I wasn't nervous at first. This was 4 years ago, but you're writing either in a computer or on a book, and you know at that point that it's not going to be out for a while. So you've got time. So you can start ugly and you can write all the stuff and you can be like, that happened to me and it sucked. But eventually you can polish it up and be a little more uh, tasteful in how you present things. I told Bennett immediately, and I wasn't nervous at all to tell Bennett. She's an amazing person. She's a great writer. So I really kind of leaned on her for her advice. I told my dad pretty immediately as well. And he's a prominent feature in the story, especially in the first half. And,
Mhm.
if you read the first few chapters, you don't get to know exactly how it turned out. But my dad has been an incredible force for me for good the last half of my life. So, it was challenging, but I will say my dad helped me write the book. He answered the hard questions. And honestly, he ended up reading it at the end and editing it. He told me it was well written, but he had some notes. So he's a writer. He's written over 30 books. And so that it's still a challenge, really, because there are some vulnerable things I do not really hold back. Now, I will say, I asked other family members kind of for their permission. I told them that I was writing it. There was a mixed response. And of course they would be, because it's their lives too, in a way, being portrayed, even though I don't really talk about them and what they were doing specifically too much. It is a very fine line to walk. And I think the main point to really stress is I did not mean or want to get back at anyone, hurt anyone, take revenge. And that's a really important place to be when you let your story and your memoir out into the wild.
Wow. I will never forget when I first opened up your book, and it was just a raw Word document at the time when I first read it. And I work with authors all the time, so I've read lots of different books, and I had a certain expectation coming in just based on the law of averages. And I'm turning the page and turning the page and turning the page, and before you know it, I'm so many pages in. I was so gripped by your writing and your experience. But I have to ask, what was the hardest thing for you to write about? And how did writing it and releasing it into the world change you as a person?
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you
Okay,
have an idea of what my answer will be?
I do.
Okay, let's see if we're on the same
But
page.
I'm speculating from probably three different,
No,
there's
let's see if
probably,
we're on the same page.
okay, I
So
think we are.
it's interesting because when I was talking earlier about the feedback that I'm getting from people,
Yes,
people that I know, people that have read the book for podcasts,
that's right.
people are really want to know certain things, but no one has said out loud about this passage. And I think it's so taboo still that it is a challenge for people to bring up. They might think, "Ooh, I don't want to bring that up in front of people. She probably won't want to talk about it." And I won't go to any detail, but it's about the self-harm that I
Yes.
inflicted upon myself to numb myself and to console myself. And we'll let you read the book. That'll be a teaser. I mean, it's not really that fun of a teaser, but it's a true thing. I did have worries that putting something so incredibly descriptive that was negative, it would be perceived as negative by people, my clients, right? Potential suitors.
Yeah.
God help me with that one. But when I put the text in front of the editor, my editor and my co-writer, who I love, who better be here, his name is Jamie Blaine, I said, "Is this too much?" And he was, "Absolutely not. It's those vulnerable moments that will keep people glued to the book, and they know you're honest. They know you're being honest with them." So if anybody does want to talk to me about that, go for it. It's okay.
I really appreciated your courage when you shared that piece in the memoir, because I think we all have our own outlets. I'll put it that way. And it gives permission for you to not feel like such a freak yourself. I mean, it's like, okay, this isn't as something that I should judge myself quite as much for. Maybe I could talk openly or seek help or do other things, but it actually really put me at ease. And I just, again, appreciated your courage. Now, I'm thinking about a lot of my own clients. So again, this is my own vantage point here, but I have so many business professionals like yourself coming in, Natasha, and they have this itch to write their own memoir because they have a passion for serving people and for giving back. But I think they are held back from what, you went through of like, what would my family think? Or is this too much to share? Is it going to destroy my reputation and my business? I don't know that I can take that risk. I'm curious about what you would say to all of the business owners out there specifically about why they should or shouldn't pursue the journey of writing their own memoir, because I'm looking at you and thinking every single one of my clients needs to follow in your footsteps here with everything that you've built. So what advice do you have for other entrepreneurs that should or shouldn't write their own memoir?
I think that you can start writing your memoir at any time. I do think that you need to look at where you are in your own path to where you want to go in life, both professionally and personally, and gauge what you can afford to put out there. But know that you do have to be vulnerable and honest to be taken seriously and for people to
That's true.
really engage in what you are trying to put out there. I did not, I mean, I put a lot of stuff in there. I was very vulnerable. I will say there are things that didn't go in there ever. It's not that we cut them. I just made the decision not to put them in there. Now, will I share those things with other people privately? If it comes up, if I could be helpful, maybe in a future memoir, maybe. So you really do have to be careful about what you share with people. And I think, I'm 51 right now. This is a really good age for me to put this memoir out. I couldn't have done it at 40. I wasn't ready. I hadn't experienced the successes that made me feel confident as much, right? I have about 11 years of that behind me. And then I wouldn't have had as much therapy and as much time to reflect. So I think you should start thinking about writing your memoir and even writing it. And I am teaching a course, as you know, to help people structure it. So you're not like, what do I write? Right. So you don't get writer's block. I think
I'm so doing this, by the way.
I think that answered your question. So it's not that
It
everyone
did.
should write and publish their memoir right now, but I think
Yeah.
writing it and starting to think about what lessons, what stories that you've experienced might be helpful and entertaining, because it has to be both of those things to keep people's attention.
Thank you for that. I know we're almost out of time, but I have to slip in one more question
Okay.
because you spoke to so many charged topics in the book, from narcissism to self-harm, the loss of a child stillborn, homelessness. it goes on, and you even omitted things from the book, rightfully so. But what wisdom do you have for others that might be experiencing narcissism or self-harm or homelessness, or know somebody that is? Like, what is the final piece of wisdom that you might want to share with us all?
These are the things that help me: journaling, definitely seeking professional help, but also talking to friends and family, people that you trust. But therapy in my life has really helped me get over these huge, ridiculous, giant boulders that could have left me, like my high school counselors said, they thought I might be found dead in a gutter, right? That was said to me. That was the expectation that they had. Finding and getting help. Now, not everyone has access or the means to get the professional help that is out there right now. It's expensive. But if you are relentless in looking for it and pressing on and telling yourself, I need to get to this other place, this next place, whatever, and out of whatever situation you're in that's negative, there is a way. You just have to look for it. And honestly, the shortcut to everything in life that's great is you got to do the work.
Natasha Miller, you never disappoint.
Thank you so much, Amber. And we're going to be hearing from Amber later, and we will give her a proper introduction instead of me just dragging her up on stage impromptu.
This was the best. Thank you.
All right. Boy, what a great interview that was. You're an interesting person. I can't wait to hear more about you. All right. I'd like to introduce to the stage Vera Hanush. Vera is the Bay Area Development Officer of Covenant House, California. They enjoy bringing together individual donors, companies, and foundations to support youth overcoming homelessness in the Bay Area. They previously volunteered at one of the shelter sites for 15 years and still bumps into alums to this day. They also serve as the lead volunteer trainer on the LGBT National Hotline. Please help me welcome Vera Hanush. Vera, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Mike, and hello, everyone. Natasha, congratulations. What an achievement. I'm here to express my gratitude on behalf of Covenant House. We are so, so grateful, and it is so deeply meaningful that a portion of the proceeds from the book will go to Covenant House to directly impact the lives of youth overcoming and experiencing and facing homelessness right now. It's just hearing part of your story is so inspirational to me. As Mike mentioned, I volunteered at one of our shelter sites for 15 years, and I've seen so many youth who are relentless and are so passionate about achieving their dreams and you are so unique, but you are not alone. And there are other youth who are going through similar situations and experiencing different issues of neglect, issues of abuse, the encounters with narcissism. All of this is a common Venn diagram experience, and I'm so in awe of your story. I can't wait to read this book cover to cover, and I'm just so grateful that it will directly impact the lives of our youth in the way that they can then perhaps follow in your footsteps and achieve their goals and dreams and, become such an incredible entrepreneurial success. It's truly just a full circle. And we're just so grateful at Covenant House. For those of you who may not know, it's been mentioned a little bit, but Covenant House is a shelter system for youth experiencing homelessness. I'm the Bay Area Development Officer, so I'm here in Oakland, California, and we serve youth who are ages 13 to 24. In California, we serve over 2,500 youth a year. And, in the entire U.S., a third of all youth experiencing homelessness across the country are here in California. So that's why it's so important for me to do this work and why it's so powerful when people, especially people with lived experience like you, Natasha, come and help us do the work. You were talking about help and people needing help and needing services. And one of the amazing things about Covenant House as a national unit is that when a youth walks through our doors, they receive the full spectrum of services. So they don't have to go anywhere else. Everything is here. They receive food, shelter, medical services, mental health services, which are so important, workforce development, so that they can think about, what do I want to do? What do I want to pursue? What am I good at? What are my talents? What do I want to be relentless about? And also access to higher education and permanent housing. We don't want to replicate systems that may have failed them in the past. So we do a lot of rental subsidy once we get our youth into permanent housing, so that it doesn't become a cycle of homelessness, because that is our end goal, is to end the cycle of homelessness and to end youth homelessness permanently. And we're so grateful. And the fact that your book is called Relentless, we at Covenant House have a process and a philosophy that's relentless engagement. Literally, it's called Relentless Engagement. Relentless engagement. It's too perfect. And what relentless engagement means for us is that we never give up on our youth. We give chance after chance. We work with our youth on a case plan, and our case managers are there for them every step of the way. It's a process. We don't expect for them to have 100% success, having come from so many situations. Over 50% of our youth are former foster youth and have been at their last placement for the majority for less than 6 months. So they're coming out of unstable situations. So we don't expect them to achieve that stability immediately. We believe in harm reduction and just relentlessly engaging with our youth, meeting them where they are, not giving up on them. If they leave and come back, that's okay too. And it's all about their agency and supporting them in achieving their goals, while not expecting them to have, all of the things and all of the growth and development that, someone who may have had support and all of those systems of nourishment throughout their childhood may have had. So we are, really working with our youth. So we're relentless in the support of our youth. Our youth are relentless in achieving their goals. And you have been relentless in both your pursuit of your goals and dreams and in creating this beautiful book. I also want the box, since we're all saying it. I also want the box. And I can't wait to, I would love to share your book with our youth as well. So we're just truly the opportunities for this to be so deeply impactful, both with the funds that are raised from the sale of the book, which all of those funds go directly to our youth services, that full spectrum of services that I referenced. That's where the funds are going, so that our youth can have everything they need right here at Covenant House. We have, in California, our sites are still growing, but we have over 30, it's 31, 32, now probably 33, 34 sites all across the nation. And we are currently doing, in case anyone is interested, our spring sleep out, where people sleep out in solidarity with youth experiencing homelessness for one night and do some fundraising. So that's just something that's going right now. You can always look it up on covenanthouse.org for our national one on April 29th. And also we have statewide ones that are happening, in fact, this Friday. But it's a delight to take a little time away from my event planning to be here and to celebrate this book release. And just we are so grateful. And I mean, hashtag be relentless. There's truly nothing more to say. I'm so appreciative. And on behalf of our youth, let's all end youth homelessness together. And if anyone would like to chat me, I'm happy to chat in the chat, and I can't wait for the remainder of the program. And I think I'm at my time. I was being very punctual. I can also keep talking about Covenant House forever. However,
All right, boy, what an amazing event. I tell you, it was my first kind of virtual event. I'm just blown away by the whole thing. Again, if you're just getting here, make sure you stick around. I know there's other opportunities where you can just check out the whole stage. If you're a VIP, you can go to this back room. There's so much to explore, and just make sure you take advantage of all that stuff. So Amber's here to talk about some other bonuses that I don't know what they are, but she apparently does. So we're just going to let her kind of take it over from here. Amber, what do we got for the guests here at the event?
It's such an amazing experience, Mike. This is so fun. So what you're looking at on the center stage here is my computer screen. We're looking at the relentlessbook.com webpage that my company was fortunate enough to design for Natasha. And it's just, Natasha has the best branding of almost anybody I've ever seen. So when you go here to therelentlessbook.com, you can quickly order the book. You can, again, see that prompt about Covenant House. We're all very excited about that. Rewatch that amazing trailer if you want to. When you scroll down, there are really 2 steps here. Step 1 is to order your copy on various retailers. Step 2 would be to come back to this webpage to get access to your bonuses depending on the bundle that you buy into. So some people are going to just get 1 copy of the book, and you can read all of the descriptions here and the values for each. But this is a big one because it's a group Zoom call. It's going to be happening early next month, where you get to sit down with Natasha and get your questions answered on a variety of topics. She's also giving you the first 2 modules of her upcoming course, which, spoiler alert, is awesome. So really good value here. You can order on Amazon. And again, you're just going to come right back here and click, yep, I bought 1 book, and you can get immediate access to those bonuses and the delivery. But when you order 5 books, which, Mike, this is what everybody is buying into here, you could be giving books to colleagues, your team, your family, just holding them on reserve for when you need to give a gift to somebody. And so this is over a $5,000 value here. You get all of the bonuses from that first tier, but then you also get access to this 3-hour virtual class that Natasha is going to be hosting, all about how to write your memoir. So we talked a little bit about this earlier. Her program is phenomenal. I'm going to go through it. I'm going to encourage all of my clients to go through it. I see some of them in the audience here, so you know I'm targeting you first, Mark Lachance. And then you also are entered into a drawing to get access to the full workshop as well. You'll see as you scroll down, if you have a bigger community and network, you can get access to additional bonuses. If you buy 12, you get this coveted Relentless box. So Mike, I know you were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, I didn't get one of those. We have some words, and Natasha and I need to. Yeah, now you're showing
totally.
Off.
It was so fun watching Bennett open up the box, and she did like her little dance over the scratch popcorn stickers. It's so delightful to get that box. And then you also get access to a 3-hour group VIP call. But hey, if you have an even bigger community, and this is something I was talking to Natasha about with her influencers and promotional partners that she's in collaboration with over the launch, get 300 copies of the book. Donate them out to associations, to people in need. I mean, I'm looking at, these young kids out there that need mentorship. They need to see what's possible. I mean, here's Natasha, who's 3 years in a row, Inc. 5000 award winner, incredible entrepreneur. I'd like to see some young professionals or some people that really want to get some great mentorship, get their hands on this book. So if you want to order additional copies, that would be awesome. If you want to look more into the page, you can get a deeper sense of the story. There's another promotion for Covenant House and about Natasha, that beautiful soul. You can even see where she's in the press. So you can pop on over to therelentlessbook.com, get access to those bonuses, because they're not going to be around forever, especially because many of them have live events and workshops attached to them. So best to get access now.
Awesome. So again, I think you said it before. So they go to relentlessbook.com. If they want to, kind of take advantage of some of those bigger orders, the 300, the 500, they do everything right through that website right there, right? They don't go to like Amazon Correct. Or anything like that. In order to get the benefits and all the different bonuses, they have to go through relentlessbook.com.
You got it.
Okay, great. Wonderful. Well, thanks for explaining that. Guys. All right. Well, listen, I think next we have somebody that will be joining us very shortly, if not immediately. who is very, very special and very, very dear to my heart. Oh, there she is. You look familiar. Are you the author of the best-selling book Relentless?
I sure am. And do you want to know what I was just doing before this? Besides getting cat food, was changing the kitty litter. So don't get my ego blown up too much.
I know. Listen, I have 2 cats, and that's really important. If they don't have a clean litter box, it's going to end up on your pillow. So I'm going to pass it over to you. And again, this is such an amazing event. Hey, one thing though, before I let you do that, if you're here in the audience right now, and you're listening and you're watching and whatever it is you're doing, and if you haven't already picked up a copy of the book, we just talked about it before, you can go right to relentlessbook.com and go right through there if you want to get a single copy, but make sure you do that. And by the way, if you want to, I don't know, it'd be kind of fun if you want to get it on Amazon, if you want to get it on Apple, if you want to get it on BNN, if you want to get it on Kobo, and all of them for only 99 cents, you certainly can do that. It's only $4. It really helps out the cause. And we talked about this earlier. A good portion of that is going to go to Covenant House as well. So take it over, Natasha Miller.
Thank you, Mike. Mike, I will tell you about him. He's going to speak later. Really smart guy, entrepreneur, really wonderful to work with over the past year. So the next thing I'm going to do is just read a short excerpt of the book. It has a lot of high and low inflection points. And this was a fun time in my life when I first moved to Alameda when I was, I think, 25. I was 25. Bennett, you'll have to remind me. So here we go. Frederica von Stade, the famous opera singer, was hosting a fundraiser at her home, and I was asked to sing. Guitar case in hand, I arrived at exactly the kind of stunning mansion you'd expect a sophisticated opera star to live in, and started having second thoughts. I had confidence in my voice, but if I really wanted to impress, violin. Should I run home and get my violin? Too late. I'd already been spotted. They welcomed me inside. The room was jam-packed. I sat up in the corner and began to sing. A few Sean Colvin covers, an original or two. I was only there for background music, a local artist doing the nonprofit thing. Frederica called the room to attention. I strummed softly, waiting to hear what she had to say. Everyone, please welcome this wonderful young vocalist who just moved here to Alameda. She is such a beautiful songbird. Did another singer walk in? I turned to check and make sure. Nope. Frederica von Stade, the famous singer, was telling everyone to be quiet and listen to me. It was one of those moments where you feel excited and mortified at the same time. But I knew how to perform. I knew how to play. If you can wrap your head around it, pressure is a performer's best friend. Everyone got quiet as I began to sing. Von Stade's eyes were upon me. Charm, beauty. Made her debut at the Metropolitan Opera at just 25. Intimidating, to say the least. I pressed on, pouring my heart out best I could until the song was over. Then I started looking for an escape. Frederica approached and threw her arms around me. Oh my God, she gushed. You have the most beautiful voice. Really? I replied. Thank you, Mrs. von Stade, so much. Oh, honey, she said, laughing. Call me Flicka, please. I thanked her again and put my guitar in the case. Flicka stood beside her baby grand and began to sing. Her tone was so amazing, I nearly fell to the marble floor. Beauty, charm, God-given talent, and grace. Flicka was kind. My voice could not compare to hers. Not even close. Nick brought Bennett by after the event. Flicka had a beautiful Victorian dollhouse, and Bennett was smitten, opening all the little doors and windows, crying with outstretched arms when I tried to pry her away. A few days later, Flicka showed up at our apartment, that basement apartment, and gave the dollhouse to my daughter. I stood there, awestruck and on the verge of tears, thinking back to my own little tin dollhouse, how my mother had trashed it in a rage. Oh gosh, Flicka, I said, you shouldn't have. Like I need a dollhouse, Flicka replied, waving me off like it was no big deal. Let Bennett have fun with it for a while. I wasn't looking for a mother figure, but as Flicka bounced Bennett on her hip, singing and blowing air kisses, making my baby laugh, I thought it sure would be nice to have the love and support of someone like her around. Flicka was a fervent philanthropist and started asking me to play at the many charity events she held. I performed with Phil Lesh from the Grateful Dead, legendary jazz mandolinist David Grisman. Like Flicka, they were all cool, very down-to-earth people. Flicka and I even started doing shows on our own to support music education in schools. Flicka's encouragement made me want to focus more on music, so I left my full-time job and started doing just that. So I'm going to sing for you. I have no idea how it's going to come over this incredible platform. I'm also going to play my guitar, which I'm really hoping is still in tune from when I tuned it hours ago. This is one of the songs I wrote for my first record. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull up the words so I don't sing the wrong ones. I knew a girl, it might even be me, making a way to her destiny. Along the road, her mom got in the way. Really from the start, some might say. Hey, 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 hey. There she goes, moving through her years, swallowed up by a million tears, holding on to her boyfriend's sleeves. Can't she see that she must leave? 'Cause one was drunk, he never saw the day. The other ones have all since moved away. Hey, 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 hey. There she goes, she's all grown up, riding in on her good luck. She paid so dearly for, she really ought to have asked for more. Still, she's come to see what's behind that door. For her, for her. So you guys can go listen to this song on my website, on Spotify. It's free everywhere to listen to. It's from my record called Her Life, and this song is called Her Life. Thank you so much. Soon you guys will be released to listen to more speakers and to enjoy ExVo. And I just want to, before we go, thank my team. And I think we have some images. We were going to bring them up on stage, but there are so many. So thank you so much to Rachel, to Leah, Patty, and Carly, who are on this screen. And if we could show the other team, this is the entire productions team. They are all working feverishly behind the scenes to make this event happen with the AllSeated and ExVo team and the big gala that we're doing on Saturday. Oh my gosh, at the San Francisco MoMA. So thank you, all of you, so much. So let me tell you, it's Megan. I got to look at the picture so I don't forget anyone. Megan, Sarah, Katie, Madeline, Kate, Annalisa, and Veronica. Thank you so much, everyone, for working with me. Sometimes I can be crabby. Not really. I'm just a wonderful person to work with. Anyway, thank you so much. And everyone, stick around for more speakers. Okay, I'm now the MC. Imagine that. Okay, here we go. So we have a speaker that's going to be coming up. She is a force to be reckoned with. Kim Fulcher. She's a seasoned Silicon Valley executive and serial entrepreneur. She's the author of Remodel Your Reality, 7 Steps to Rebalance Your Life and Reclaim Your Passion, and the creator of Get Your Groove Back, which is registered trademark, an on-demand coaching program for women. She speaks professionally about empowerment, engagement, marketing, and community culture, and runs a coaching organization that specializes in helping professional women succeed in their careers. Please welcome to the stage, Ms. Kim Fulcher.
Hello. Hey. Natasha, congratulations. What an incredible event already. I've had 2 or 3 ahas already, and I just have so much respect for your grit and your self-awareness and your sense of selflessness and your sense of hustle. Be relentless. So hello, everyone. My name is Kim Fulcher. I am a life coach and an author and a speaker and more than anything, a teacher. I'm a performance trainer. I work with executives to either navigate and really take deliberate control of their own career path and or to help their teams do the same thing. And so my work is really about helping you line your behavior up with your goals, which sounds very simple. But over the next 10 minutes, what we're going to do is talk about really the formula you can use to take control of the power each one of us has within us to create the results we want in our life, regardless of the circumstances life has handed us. And we've all heard at this point the stories of what Natasha has overcome. And don't we know so many personalities in our social lexicon who have overcome very difficult circumstances? Every one of those individuals who have taken a very difficult experience and turned it into actually fuel that helps them not only create the life they want to live, but help other people while they're doing it. There is a formula that all of those individuals have used. And that's what I'm going to teach you today. We're going to do 3 simple steps. And we're going to talk about how to use your power, how to make sure that you're actually in control of yourself as you go about life, which is unfortunately not the norm. And I'm going to tell you how, if you're not already in deliberate control of your own power, you can take control of it. You can change your life without blowing it up. You can make anything burning in your heart happen. You, like Natasha, can overcome any difficult, even potentially debilitating circumstance to have the reality you want to have. And to do that, what you need to do is take control of the power that's bestowed on all of us. You know, we've all loved The Wizard of Oz. And at the end of that movie, the fairy godmother, the good witch, Glinda, tells Dorothy, "You've had the power all along, my dear." And every person watching this, either live or after the fact, you have this power. It's just that no one has taught you how to use it yet. So that's what we're going to do in the next 9 minutes. I'm going to teach you about the 3 components of power. They are what you think, what you say, and what you do. And I'm going to teach you how to, in practical terms, in a real busy life, start to pay attention to what you're doing with your time, your attention, your energy. What you think, what you say or don't say, what you do or don't do, that actually determines the quality of your life. So if there's anything going on in your life right now that you don't like, I've been doing this work long enough to know, I'm 25 years into this work. I've been doing this long enough to know, and I've worked with enough famous people and tech CEOs to know that even if you're incredibly successful, there's something going on in your life you don't like, or there's something you want you don't have yet. So if either one of those things is true for you, I'm going to invite you for the next 8 minutes to just hang with me and to learn how to use your universally given strengths, your thoughts, your words, your deeds. And I'm going to teach you how to line those up with what you want so that you have more of what you want and less of what you don't. So first, let's talk about two definitions. So power is defined as the ability to impact or influence circumstances. And so what I want for you is I want you to have the ability to impact or influence your own circumstances. There's another psychological definition. It's called agency, which sounds kind of funny, but all it means is agency means you're in control of you. And when you are consciously and deliberately directing your thoughts, your words, and your deeds toward what you want, I promise you, what you want will be yours. If you're in a circumstance where you're dealing with things you don't like, you don't enjoy, you don't want, I promise you there is some level of misdirected power going on. So we're going to uncover misdirected power in your life if you're dealing with some challenging circumstance. And I'm going to teach you how to direct your power so you can have more of what you want and less of what you don't. Natasha said something very important as she kicked us off today. And she was talking about the fact that while she had made sacrifices, what she really viewed each of those sacrifices as was a choice. And I'm doubling down on that and making sure that we all here today understand that every single thing we think or say or don't say or do or don't do, those are choices. So here is a formula, 3 steps. Okay, what you think, what you say, and what you do, those things together equal the power you are asserting on your world. So first, let's talk about what you think. What I know after more than 25 years of working with just thousands of clients is that most of us have this voice in our head that is not very nice to us. It's the voice that asks us who we think we are. It's the voice that reminds us of our shortcomings. So the first thing we need to do, step 1 in our power formula, is you need to handle your headspace. You need to make sure that you're paying attention to that little voice that is constantly going inside your head. And the simplest way to do that I've found is to just pay attention to whether or not what you're saying to yourself is supportive of you. Is your voice for you? Is it telling you things that move you forward, or is it telling you things that keep you stuck? And I have this little game I play with clients in identifying the voice. The voice is either the frenemy or the bestie. And the frenemy is, this is the person who acts like they're our friend, even when they're not. Oh, well, don't put yourself out there. You might get rejected. Hey, what if they really know who you are? Right? Then there's the bestie who just muzzles that frenemy and makes sure that you're paying attention to the best possible outcome you could create in any situation. And what I know to be true, and this is also based on the way our brain works, is that most of the time, that little internal voice, until you take control of it, is not actually for you. So your brain is not designed to make you happy. It is designed to keep you safe. And that means that it's on this constant search and destroy mission to identify what could possibly threaten you. So your frenemy literally has the reins unless and until you take control. And what I will challenge my clients to do is just to take a 24-hour period or a 48, a 36-hour period, 1, 2, 3 days, where you just notice whether or not the things you're saying to yourself in your own head are moving you toward the life you want or are keeping you stuck and spinning. And 9 times out of 10, if you've not taken charge of your internal voice, your voice will keep you stuck. So the first thing to do to take control of your power in the world is to start to notice, to have an awareness of how you're using your inside voice. Handle your headspace. That is step 1. Step 2 has to do with how we use our voice. Do you speak up for yourself when you need to? Or do you stay quiet? Do you agree to things that don't make sense to you because you want to feel safe? Or do you speak truth? And there are many layers of this level of growth that we move through. But for this purpose, for really understanding that you are in charge of you, and that once you take charge of what goes on in your head, you need to take charge of what comes out of your mouth. And the first thing we do is just say, you know, that frenemy that was in your head, that frenemy does not get to use your outside voice. Do not speak against yourself. Do not talk about what's wrong with you. Do not give excuses for why you cannot have what you want. Do not call out your faults in advance of someone else understanding them. We all have faults. This is called human. Every word you speak has power, and you want to make sure that you are speaking only into the world what you want to experience. And the speak part of our equation has two components. First, there's how do you use your outside voice? We don't want to let frenemy use our outside voice. The second component is, what do you stop yourself from saying? What do you censor yourself from saying? And what we all do is we learn very early on that if we disagree, we might face rejection. And so we just begin to kind of censor ourselves. But what happens over the course of decades, you know, so if you get into your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, and you've constantly censored yourself to make sure you felt safe, well, you're really going to have a lot you think that hasn't come through. And that energy, that stuffed energy, that doesn't go away. It begins to characterize the way you show up in the world. It calcifies. Bitter is not better. You must make requests when you need something. If something is not working for you, you must have the courage to step into the discomfort of using your voice. So the first part of your power is what is going on in your head. The second part is, how are you using your voice? Are you asking for what you need? And are you making sure that you are not agreeing with things you don't agree with just to feel safe? And then the third component of our formula, and this is the one that most of us relate to, what you do matters. What you don't do matters too. If you want a thing, it will be yours as long as you behave in line with that thing. But you cannot behave in a way that conflicts with what you say you want and hope to get it. And I'll use just health as an example. Let's say you want this vital, fit body. You can't want this vital, fit body and then blow your workouts off or stuff your face with fast food. You cannot behave in conflict with what you want and hope to get it. And when I start working with a client, and I'm working with these highly functional 7, 8, 9 figures CEOs, I've never met a person who doesn't have something they want and yet aren't behaving in some way that conflicts with what they want. So what I would invite you to do today is just think about, what's the thing you want you don't have yet? Or what's the problem you're dealing with that you don't want to deal with? And then just ask yourself these two questions. What do you need to start doing to have what you want? And or what do you need to stop what you want? I've never worked with a client who didn't have an answer to both of those questions. So if you want something, or if you're dealing with something you don't want, what do you need to start doing? Change your circumstances. What do you need to stop doing to change your circumstances? You are in full agency when you are in control of your own power. And one of the things I most love and respect about Natasha as I close, her ability not to let the outside circumstances of her life impact her, but her ability to take charge of her power, to take charge of what she's thinking, to take charge of what she's saying, and to take charge of what she's doing or not doing to move her down the line in order to accomplish her goals. You can do the same thing. I work with this same formula. What you say and what you do, that determines whether or not you have what you want in your life or don't. And whether you're in charge of yourself is really just about you dropping into this place of awareness where you are deliberately directing these three components: what you think and what you say and what you do. And I'm so just grateful here with this group of people who are not just committed to being resilient, as Natasha says, but to being relentless. And I commit this to, first, Natasha, congratulations. And then second, I hope I have not just inspired you, but what I really want to do is shift you. I want to shift the way you think. And I hope that today, these 10, 12 minutes, understand that you have a lot more power than you think you do. Do you really take charge of your headspace? Take charge of your voice. Take charge of your actions. You can make anything happen. You have got this. Thank you.
Kim, wow, thank you so much. I was looking forward to this for so long, and now you're here. Next up, I want to just tell everyone that all the speakers are amazing, and I want you to hear them all. I also want you to experience everything that the AllSeated ExVo platform has and what Entire Productions, my core company, has up for you to do. So feel free to leave the stage. You can click that button in the middle that says leave stage, but come back to hear the speakers as well. I just don't want you to miss anything. So try to be everywhere at once. Our next speaker, okay, here's the deal. There is a sleeping giant in every human. Brian's purpose in life is to awaken those giants within and turn them into legends by helping them grab what they believe is just out of their grasp. Brian is a heart surgeon without a blade. He does not start outside with what you need to do. He starts inside with who you are. In a world that is disconnected, Brian is revolutionizing how individuals, leaders, and entrepreneurs deeply connect with their authentic selves to achieve the best versions of themselves. Please welcome to this stage, Brian Bogert.
Thank you so much, Natasha, not only for that incredible intro, but for coordinating and putting together such an amazing event to support your work, Relentless. For those that are watching today, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I like to teach through story, and so I'm going to start with one. I'm going to ask that everyone who's watching today, close your eyes for just a minute. I want you to imagine that you've gone to a store, you've had a successful shopping trip, you breeze through the security line, walk out the doors, you look up and feel the sun and the warmth of it on your skin. You feel the breeze through your hair. You've got a pep in your step and you're going on with your day. Then you get to your car. You're fumbling in your pockets to get your keys to unlock your door. And you turn your head and you see a truck barreling 40 miles an hour right at you with no time to react. Go ahead and open your eyes. That's where this portion of my story begins. My mom, my brother, and I went to our local Walmart to get a 1-inch paintbrush. It was August 10th, 1992. 115-degree day in Phoenix, Arizona. And as we got to our car to get home, anybody who's known me for more than about 2 minutes knows the energy and excitement I've always had for life. I was excited to get home and put that paintbrush to use. But this was back in the days before we had key fobs. And so I had to wait for my mom to literally catch up, stick her physical key in the door, turn it so we go on with our day. And as I was standing there, a truck pulled up in front of the store. Driver and middle passenger get out and leave the truck running. Passenger all the way to the right feels the truck moving backwards. So he did what any one of us would do, and he scooted over to put his foot on the brake, but he instead hit the gas. Combination of shock and force threw him up on the steering wheel, up on the dashboard, and before you know it, he's catapulting 40 miles an hour across the parking lot right at us with no time to react. Now, we were parked in an end spot. He goes up and over the median, up and over the tree in the median, hits our car, knocks me over, runs over me diagonally, tearing my spleen, leaving a tire track scar on my stomach, and continuing on to sever my left arm completely from my body. My mom and brother watched the whole thing happen. Luckily for me, so did my guardian angel. I'm forever indebted to this woman because there was a nurse that walked out of the store right when this took place, and she saw the literal life and limb scenario in front of her, and she chose to go into action versus go on with her day. She came over and she stopped the bleeding on the main wound and saved my life. And she instructed some innocent bystanders to run inside, grab a cooler, and fill it with ice so that my mom and brother, who now saw my arm laying 10 feet away from me in the parking lot, could pick it up and put it on ice to give me a fighting chance of having my limb reattached. So the reality of it is, if it wasn't for this woman, I either wouldn't be here with you today or I'd be here today with a cleaned up stump. That's just the reality. And I'm sure that many of you are not expecting it to go there today. I absolutely know that I have an extremely unique story. But what's also very important to acknowledge is that the more I've done this, the more I also realize that all of us have unique stories. What's important is that we pause and become aware of the lessons we can extract from our stories and then become intentional with how do we apply them in our lives. And we all have the ability to do that. And we also all have the ability to tap into the collective wisdom of other people's stories to shorten our own curve to learning. So I'm going to share with you two primary lessons. I'm going to unpack one of them today in quick order and allow you to understand where and how you can use this in your life. The first lesson is I learned not to get stuck by what has happened to me, but instead get moved by what I can do with it. And I'll tell you that the more we've done this, the more we recognize that moved people move people. So if you really want to be relentless in your life, if you want to be relentless in the lives of others, make sure that you are moved so that you can move others. The second lesson I didn't learn right away. You see, at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, I was a little bit in a fog. So although I was the one having surgeries done to me, although I was the one having to go through surgeries, I was also being guided through the process. My parents, however, were not in a fog. You see, they were intimately aware of the unceasing medical treatments, years of physical therapy, and the idea of seeing their son grow up without the use of his left arm was a source of great potential suffering. So they willed themselves day in and day out to do what was necessary, to do what was tough, to ultimately embrace the pains required to ultimately strengthen and heal me. So whether intentional or not, what they did was they ingrained in me a philosophy and a way of living, which by definition is relentless because it taught me to embrace pain to avoid suffering. And I believe that when we do that, that's also when we gain freedom. So it's these two lessons that we use to not only overcome this unique injury, but how my business partners and I scaled our last business to over 15 million within the span of a decade. And now how for the last few years, we flipped that on its head as a human behavior performance coach and individual to impact 1 billion lives as quickly as possible. Because we believe that if everybody can stand on their own 2 feet with the right level of awareness and the right level of intentionality so they can be their most authentic self, that's when they have the opportunity to have the door cracked to joy, freedom, and fulfillment. That's when magic can happen and we can have perspective, motivation, and direction in our lives. And that's when we can build a world where we can all stand on our own 2 feet, not just confident, but convicted in who we are, knowing that the world will not just accept us, but will embrace us for exactly who we are. So we're going to talk about how to embrace pain to avoid suffering and where and how you can apply this in your life holistically. First, we have to understand the concept, right? We talk about pain. And the world narrative is literally to reduce, eliminate, or avoid pain at all costs. Numb, avoid. And by the way, it makes sense because it's a natural evolutionary response to survival because 100 years ago, you get cut, you could die. But that's not the reality most of us live in anymore. So we have to redefine what does this look like? Pain's defined as short-term, intermittent, a direct cause from something and alleviated once that direct cause is removed. Then what do we do as human beings? We screw it up by putting adjectives in front of it, like acute and chronic. Now, acute fortunately maintains the definition, but chronic inherently changes it because it implies that pain is no longer short-term and it persists after that direct cause is removed. So let's stop calling that pain chronic pain and start calling it what it actually is, suffering. Now, we don't want to admit that suffering exists, particularly when it's a direct result of our choices. And often suffering creeps up on us because it just adapts and we adapt to it sometimes until its effects are irreversible. But that's why pain gets so much attention because we feel it. It's real time and we want to avoid it. So how do we apply this concept? I'll give you an understanding of the basic element of it. We can embrace the pain of hitting the gym for 30 minutes a day to avoid the suffering of aches and pains of a sedentary lifestyle. We can embrace the pain of a difficult conversation with loved one or spouse to avoid the suffering of being stuck in a loveless marriage that's ultimately going to end in divorce, or being stuck into marriage when we actually want divorce. We can embrace the pain of the fit our kids are sure to throw by having them put down their mobile devices at the dinner table to avoid the suffering of years of lost meaningful connection and conversation we'll never get back. We as business owners, as leaders, can embrace the pain of firing our top salesperson who's contributing the most to top line growth to avoid the suffering of stagnant growth and losing all our other top talent because they were the greatest cancer in our culture. As individuals, we can embrace the pain of feeling the things that we need to feel in order to heal, to go see a therapist, to work with a guide who can help us understand ourselves more clearly so we can break the patterns of our past and avoid the suffering of remaining stuck in the same place forever. If you want to be relentless, if you want to go to the next level in your life, it's about understanding how to apply this concept holistically in your life. Because I believe that we all must choose our pain or our suffering will choose us. Now, I only have about 10 minutes and I'm coming up here to a quick wrap. But what I want to really point out is 2 things. One, we have to acknowledge the suffering we wish to avoid so that we understand what we're trying to actually avoid. I've got a client, he's 38 years old. He moved 26 times by the time he was 18. He never lived in the same place twice, never had the same set of friends twice. He never learned how to give or receive love. Fast forward to today, he's got a wife and 2 beautiful girls. And when he can cast his vision of his life, he can see very clearly that at 80 years old, they're sitting on their farm, and the only thing breaking the silence through the wind of the brush is the laughter of his kids and his grandkids. Now, when he takes that purpose and he burns it into his soul, it becomes powerful enough to overtake the pains required for him to change, because suffering to him is a life without his girls. And he's today not living as the man, husband, and father that he could be because the emotional triggers, behavioral patterns, and environmental conditioning that have kept him stuck. So that leads us to our next point. We've got to identify the pains we tend to avoid and learn to embrace them. I'll use a personal story. See, I was run over by a truck. My left arm was torn off. I don't have a tricep. I don't have a lat on the left side of my back. But as the older I got, the more I started to develop pain that started to become debilitating in my world. So what did I do? I went and I joined a gym. And I started to work out. I went consistently for 30 days, and then I stopped going. Now, had I not understood that the suffering I wished to avoid was the debilitating pain that was existing, that was limiting my ability to live the life I wanted, I might have stopped there. Or I would have done what everybody else does, and I would have focused on the strategy and tactics I could have replaced. So if that gym didn't work, maybe I could go join Orange Theory. Maybe I could join a cycle bar. Maybe I could go get a personal trainer. But the reality of it is, what I know is that strategy and tactics, although they're critically important to be relentless in our world, are not the things that keep us stuck. You see, it's a combination of the emotional triggers, behavioral patterns, and environmental conditioning that actually keep us stuck. So I had to ask myself an additional question. Is it the pain of working out I'm avoiding? Is it the pain of plyometrics, of lifting weight, of stretching, of the discomfort that's created there? Or is it the anxiety I get in a crowded gym that's connected to the fact that I realize I do everything different? It absolutely was the emotional trigger tied to my own shame. And so it allowed me to embrace the pains required to build out my own home gym so I could create my environment for success. Reality of it is, we have to apply this as a habit in every area of our life. And what we know is that experts in habit formation even call it an upfront energy tax, which implies that there's an expense. All I'm trying to get you to encourage is to recognize that leaning into and understanding how to embrace pain is one of the greatest investments in you and one of the greatest investments in your future that will have the greatest compound effect in your life. Again, I believe we all must choose our pain, or our suffering will choose us. And I'm very convinced that my parents, when they see my 6-year-old daughter run across the room and I get to pick her up with both hands and see her elicit that wild little laugh, that they no longer have regret. They understand that they got to embrace pain to allow them to avoid suffering. And I get to experience joy, freedom, and fulfillment through it. And I'm pretty sure they do too. And so can you. So thank you, Natasha, for the ability to be here today, to serve everyone here who's listening, and just give my story on how I've been able to be relentless, because it's my truth that gives others permission to live theirs. And think about how you can apply that in your life. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. That was amazing. I am so glad that I found you, that we found each other. And thank you for having me on your show yesterday with David Meltzer. You guys were funny. And we are putting links in the comments to find all of the speakers, including Brian. So check that out. And we're going to do a little bit of a delay in bringing up the next speaker. We're having some technical issues, but that means that you can go out and play, and we'll bring you back to the stage when Mark Lachance is back up. But I want to announce that we have a couple of giveaways. So we have a signed hard copy version of the book Relentless. Hopefully I'll be getting them tomorrow in the mail. I still don't have them. But that goes to Susie Payne. So Susie, we will email you and ask you for your address so we can send that to you. And also, I think some of you guys saw in the Relentless box, we have these vermeil necklaces. So gold over sterling silver with my writing that says Relentless on. We're giving away one of these, and the winner for this one is Kate Windsor. And so we'll email you as well to get your address. We will have these for sale on our website, as well as the influencer, the whole box, which is a $250 box on the website eventually for you to get if you really want to. So now I release you to go get your caricature done, your photo booth done, a poem done, look at the mentalists and the magicians, and just have fun. Talk to each other too. You can talk to each other in groups of people. So let's try out the platform, and we'll see you back here for Mark Lachance coming up soon. Hey everyone, I just wanted to let you know that we opened the VIP venue up for everyone. So teleport your way there. And when we have our next speaker on, we will just force you all to the stage with one click of a button. I hope you're really enjoying this. Thank you.
When they ask me why I smile, I say because. When they ask me why I smile, I say because. When they ask me why I smile, I say because. It's 'cause of you, I think of you, I dream of you, Los Angeles. Los Angeles. Give me all your love, it won't be lost. I'll make a map and mark the roads that lead up to your heart. You're planning on a mission back to Earth, but we're only just beginning. Won't you stay for dessert? And when they ask me why I smile, I say because. When they ask me why I smile, I say because. When they ask me why I smile, I say because. It's 'cause of you, I think of you, I dream of you, Los Angeles, Los Angeles. When they ask me why I smile, I say because. When they ask me why I smile, I say because. Oh, when they ask me why I smile, I say because. It's 'cause of you, I think of you, I dream of you, Los Angeles. When they ask me why I smile, I say because. When they ask me why I smile, I say because. When they it's 'cause of you, I think of you, and dream of you.
Hi, you guys. So I hope you're having fun roaming around, talking to each other. Please talk to each other and experiencing this incredible platform, ExVo, and all of Entire Productions, artists and talent. This is what I do. This is my job. It's pretty amazing. I'd love to bring up our next speaker. So, Mark Lachance is a serial entrepreneur, strategic thinker, and investor. He possesses a deep understanding of blitzscaling companies, having owned and operated several businesses that have experienced hyper growth through creative business development and lead generation. He is a master of sales and marketing and continues to apply this expertise in current projects. Mark is the author of Wall Street Journal bestseller, The Lucky Formula, and is currently the CEO and lead investor of Maxi Media Inc., one of the largest TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat, and Google Display Network performance marketing agencies in the world. Currently, Maxi Media is the number one advertiser in terms of monthly spend on the TikTok platform in Canada and top 10 in North America. And I have put in a request for him to make me a TikTok star. Please welcome to the stage, Mark Lachance.
Natasha, thank you very much. And not only am I a sales and marketing guru, but I'm obviously a tech guru. It took me so long to get in this room. I apologize very much. But guys, thank you very much for having me. It's an incredible honor to be here, Natasha, and thank you very, very much. And Natasha, I know you're watching, so you can see that we originally bought 10 books. But now I had May buy 2 more, so now we're at 12, and I'm going to have you, by the way, speak in one of our VIP or one of our leadership events, and we have a leadership call every week that goes for about an hour. So Natasha, you are definitely going to be on that. I'm excited for that. After hearing you, I might even have you sing for the staff, Natasha. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for having me. Like Natasha said, I'm the author of this book called The Lucky Formula, and my what gives me the right to write about luck? Well, first, my last name Lachance or Lachance means luck, so that that in French that is. So that gives me the right to write about lucky and getting lucky and being lucky, and in business. So what I wanted to talk to you guys about today is a few things that can help you build your business or blitzscale your business. After reading the book Blitzscaling by the gentleman who founded LinkedIn, I was actually in awe of what I could do, what the possibility is to blitz companies. I had done it several times before, but I never really knew how I did it or why I did it. But I want to take you through a few things on how, if your business is struggling a bit, how you can get it to be successful or to be lucky or to be at a place where it's growing rapidly. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is I think I coined this phrase, but back in 2008, I had a mega colossal failure, and that was in real estate. And so back in 2006, I had exited my company, a very nice exit financially. And then from there, I had taken all of my winnings or earnings, whatever you want to call it, and rolled it into a estate. Time was 2007. So those of you who are in my age category, you guys remember 2007, 2008 was not the time to be invested in real estate. But I did it, and I had a colossal failure. So I started my successful career in the payments business, went all in real estate, and the bad timing, bad partner, blah blah blah, ends up that I'm in facing bankruptcy, anxiety, depression, and I had to get my way out of it. So for about 6 months, I was literally sitting on my couch and stressed out of my mind and didn't know what I was going to do. But then you always, and Natasha, I know you went through this. When you made that decision to get out of your anxiety and your depression and your bad state, you made a decision. I did the same thing. And this was back in, it was late 2008, after 6 months on the couch and being depressed and anxiety. I made that decision. All right, I'm getting out of this. I'm going to go back to my roots. I'm going to go back to what I know and how I know how to be successful financially. So I picked up the phone, and 87 calls later, I finally got the answer that I was looking for, which was an opportunity to lead a company in Canada called ExVo Payments back then. So we launched the company with partners in New York, and I launched that in 2009, beginning of 2009. And about a year and a half later, I found myself sitting in front of my computer with about 1,000 unopened emails. And again, stressed out of my mind because I had 215 employees. So in about a year and a half's time, we grew the company from one employee myself to over 215 employees. And I actually didn't know what I was doing. And I was lost. I was stressed. I was overwhelmed. And I actually wanted to quit the company that got me out of my bankruptcy situation, that got me out of my anxiety and depression, just to get me back into it. I wanted to quit. So I needed a coach and a mentor. And I looked online and I found the coach and the mentor, and I went to an event, and it was an event about mastering your business. And the first thing I found was that I was the problem with my business. I was the issue. I was the one bottlenecking everything. So what I found is that I had to be the conduit to everything. So for example, everything sales had to go through me. Everything marketing had to go through me. Everything finance, legal, customer support, customer service, everything had to go through me. And I found that, that's obviously not the way to run a business. You need to, so the first thing I call that is the entrepreneur's dilemma. So if your company is stuck like mine was, you may not have 215 employees, but you may have 5 or 10 or 20 or 50, but you may be stuck. And the problem probably is the entrepreneur that's leading the way. And the problem probably is the fact that the entrepreneur believes that they have to be the center of attention. They have to know everything that's going on. I was in that situation. So I'm going to be honest with you. I was the problem. So I had to understand and know everything going on. But I learned quickly that if you hire the right people and you put them in the right positions and you let them do the work, then everything runs incredibly smoothly. So it took me probably 2 or 3 months to make that transition after I got that sort of, eye opener, that wow, or that aha moment that I was the problem with my company. And so what I did over that 2 to 3 month period is that I went through pretty much an overhaul of the company. I went from yes men and women to not yes men and yes women, people that can think for themselves, people that can make decisions on their own. And I actually learned how to let go. And you have to learn how to let go. And I think, Natasha, I'm pretty sure that, you've been through this in your career, and you had to learn how to let go. I saw your awesome team, and I've actually dealt with your awesome team over the last few weeks. And I'm sure you let go and you let them make decisions. And so I call that, again, the entrepreneur's dilemma. And if you want your company to grow and you want your company to be highly successful without, the leader yourself being stressed to the max like I was, then you need to let go. You need to hire people that have the capabilities and the skill sets, and let them do the work. Let them succeed or fail. And if they fail, you have to move on and pick somebody else. But again, I think that's the key factor to my success. I've had 4 successful exits, and recently I've had 2 since I've implemented the entrepreneur's dilemma, or how to deal with the entrepreneur's dilemma. And Natasha mentioned that I'm now the CEO and lead investor of a company called Maxi Media Inc. We've got some phenomenal people, and I'm doing exactly what I want to do. I am focused on what I want to do in business, which is create relationships, which is do business development. I'm not a technology guy. I'm not a media buyer, and I'm not I'm not a creator. And it's funny that we have about 70% of our staff. We have now over 300 employees, and 70% of our staff is Gen Z. And we're allowing a lot of those Gen Zers, if you will, to filter up into management and leadership positions. And we've got actually 22 and 23-year-old youngsters leading very, very important divisions of the company. And how did they get there? Well, they got there because they were relentless. They showed skill sets that are necessary for leadership, and we let them make mistakes and grow in the company. So if you want to build a highly successful and a hyper growth organization, you definitely need to do that. You definitely need to allow people to make mistakes, but also, hire the right people and put them in the right positions. And if you made a mistake, you have to move on and put somebody else in that position. So that's one of my tips and tricks on growing a massive organization, or I'll call it a lucky organization. You don't need a last name Lachance to be lucky. You can do it without it. And then look, another big tip that I can give you guys and gals is the fact that you need to have a why. You need to have a massive why. So my why was developed from when I graduated university way back in 1992. I had a choice. I had a choice to go work at basically everybody was going to work for State Street Bank for $21,000 or Staples for $24,000 back in Boston in 1992. It was a recession time, and my father offered me an opportunity to go work for him in construction. And I don't know if anybody in this call has ever worked construction, but I can just say that it's not fun. And it's definitely not fun when you wake up in the morning and you look out that window right there and you see the blazing hot sun, and you know you have to be on the roof that day, laying down hot, rubber black roof. So hot sun with black roof doesn't make for a good combination or a good formula. But that quickly became my why. So after about a year and a half of working for my father, I quickly, found a way to get into sports. And then after going through the sports business, getting into the payments business, which brings me all the way up to about 2017 to media. But that my massive why is that I never, ever want to be on a roof, carry a hammer or have to work physical or manual labor. I can do it. I can build a house if I wanted to, but I definitely don't want to. And my wife always jokes. She's like, I don't think you have the ability to even pick up a hammer and, put that picture on the wall. I've never seen you do it. I don't want to do it, but having a massive why and a reason for working so hard, you have to have that. So Natasha she's got her massive why, and it's obviously she never wants to be back where she was in the past. And you've got to have a massive why. And next tip and trick I can give you, and Kim Fulcher spoke about this, and she kind of stole my idea a little bit, but no, it's the way you think, right? So how do you think? Are you thinking that you can be a success? Are you thinking that you can be, or are you thinking that you'll fail? So are you thinking success or failure? What's your mindset like? Do you believe in yourself? Do you believe in your team? Do you believe in, so how are you thinking? And then how you think directly influences how you speak to others. So actually a quick story, I don't have much more time, but a quick story is when I was writing the Lucky Formula, my editor, he asked me, he says, look, I don't understand how language makes you luckier. I don't understand how. I said, okay, Alex, let me give you this example. I said, Alex, I've read a bunch of your works and a bunch of your pieces. I think you're a phenomenal writer. You inspire me. You make me feel awesome when you write. You make me much more intelligent by the way you write. And I kept on giving him compliments, and he actually knew what I was doing. But then he looked at me and he said, wow, I guess you're right. So the language you use, the empowerment you use with other people will come back to you. So I've done that many, many times in my career. And it's sincere. And if it's sincere language that you're using with others, it will come back to you. For example, Natasha, I think Natasha is an amazing woman. And after meeting her I think it was about 6 months ago, I met Natasha. I was in awe with the way this woman is relentless. So not only does her book say relentless, and by the way, I did get one of those boxes. I'm going to try to make everybody jealous now. And I can't wait to open it. I just got home from a long road trip, and yesterday I saw the box and I'm excited to open it. But anyway, so Natasha is relentless, and Natasha is amazing, and Natasha's language is incredible, and that's why her team's incredible. So it's the way you are is the way your people are going to be, and the way your people are going to react to you and get you the opportunities and get you lucky. Another key factor of attracting luck or building a massive business is the crew, your crew. So there's a chapter in my book called Crew. So what that means is your circle of influence. Who do you hang around with? Who are the people that you speak to on a regular basis? So for example, for a long time, I worked with Amber as well. And Amber is a phenomenal woman. And she was my crew along with Natasha for about 6 months. Amber, actually, I want to reinvite you back into my crew, Amber. I miss you. But anyway, the point is, if you're hanging around people like that are intelligent, that are empowering, that always, are always giving you the inspiration or the motivation or and amazing ideas, then you have no choice but to be successful. No choice at all. So crew is an amazing and an incredible way to get your organization to the next level. And just to expand upon crew or circle of influence, Natasha, you're here. Am I done already, Natasha?
No, keep going.
I will keep going. So to expand upon that. So, and I, again, to expand upon dealing with Natasha's crew. Her girls are awesome. I mean, you saw the whole crew. I don't know all of their names. I know Annalise's name because I've dealt with her, but I'm sure that Natasha surrounds herself with incredible people, and the incredible people you surround yourself with will push you up to the next level. So I want to congratulate Natasha on her awesome team and her awesome launch. And I'm actually envious of this platform, Natasha. I need to learn from you. So we're gonna have to get on a call. But by the way, I don't know if you heard me, but we did buy 12 books. I'm booking
I
you for
heard you. I've
VIP.
heard every word you said. So thank you. And I will connect anybody that wants to know more about this platform, how to use it for your own events, how to get your own private office. Just DM me. I've got a hookup.
Awesome. How much more time do I have, Natasha?
You're done, dude.
I'm done, dude. All right. I love it. So thank you very much, Natasha, for having
Thank
me.
you so much for being here. I appreciate you punching through and being relentless to get through the tech jargon. Juggernaut.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much. All right.
All right, everyone. I hope you're having a great time up here. I've talked to a few of you. Please scoot around, except for you're going to want to be up on stage for this next person who is near and dear to my heart. I met her a year ago and have become very close friends with her. And I'm just so lucky to have her in my life. Caroline Lind was born and raised in North Carolina. For high school, she attended Phillips Andover Academy, and that is where she learned how to row. She continued her education and rowing career at Princeton University and was a member of the 2006 undefeated national championship rowing team. She was a member of the U.S. women's national rowing team from 2005 to 2014, sitting 7th seat of the women's 8 boat. During her time on the national team, she won 21 international medals, including 2 Olympic gold medals and 6 World Championship gold medals. In 2014, she was ranked #1 female rower in the world. She currently works at Fremont Group and is married to Brandon. They have a 2-year-old adorable son named John Henry. Please welcome to the stage Caroline Lind.
Thank you so much, Natasha. It's wonderful to be here with you guys. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit today about my relentless pursuit of Olympic gold medals and a few of the steps that I took to get there. The first thing that I did was define my goal, because without a clear goal, you can't plan or navigate the steps to achieving that goal. Now, this doesn't mean that the goal can't change or evolve along the way, but you have to have that goal set as a place to start. And for me, my goal was winning 2 Olympic gold medals. My initial goal was to win both of those medals in one Olympics by racing both the pair and the 8 boat. And if you don't know anything about rowing, those are just the different boat classes. And the 8 boat has 8 people and a coxswain, and the pair has 2 people. And throughout my journey, this goal shifted. And I ended up winning those 2 Olympic gold medals in 2 different Olympics. But the important thing is that in the end, I was able to achieve my goal. And I kept myself open to redefining that goal along the way. So I started my rowing journey in high school, and some early success of being named to the junior national rowing team gave me that glimmer of hope that an Olympic medal was maybe possible. And it really helped me solidify my goal early on, which is extremely important. So I believe that the road to success is paved with small daily goals. While I always had my long-term goal of an Olympic gold medal in the back of my mind, it was the pursuit of those smaller goals each year, month, week, and day that allowed me to actually create the path to my own success. It started the momentum that eventually led to me achieving my final goal. And I don't believe there's any secret to success. I don't believe it just happens. I believe that it is completely the product of your own doing. It requires hard work, dedication, and focus on a daily basis. There are no shortcuts. Truly being relentless in pursuit of your goal. So I can tell you what relentless looked like for me. It really was about these daily goals and understand what I was trying to achieve day to day. So for me, it wasn't all about coming to practice and just hammering as hard as possible every day. And I think some people fall into that trap where they feel like I just need to work. Of course, it's about working hard, but I just need to work hard and hammer. It's really about understanding the nuances of the daily goal, right? Is it a technique day? Do I need some recovery? Is today just about getting through practice injury-free with as little effort as possible so that my body can recover and be there for me tomorrow? Do I need to build my connections with my teammates today? Like, all of those things are helpful in that long-term goal. And so you have to really pinpoint what it is in each practice or piece or meeting or anything that you're doing that you need. It's like all about getting better and what you can do in that moment, in that stroke, in that piece to be your very best. And so it is through that process that you are literally creating the building blocks to keep you moving forward. So I like to talk about an erg test and understanding the concept of an erg test because it's a great representation of this idea of forward momentum and the idea that little steps can create larger movement. So the erg machine, as some of you may or may not know, is a rowing machine, and it mimics rowing on the water, and it's something you can do indoors. So you may have seen these rowing machines in the gym. They're called ergometers. We call them for short erg machines, and these are really torture devices for rowers because this machine has a screen on it where you can literally see your 500-meter split each stroke. So each time you pull the chain back, you'll see your output. And so this tells you if you're going faster, of course, but it also tells you if you're going slower. And the thing about the erg is that it's one of the only ways for a coach to measure an output from an individual rower, because often we're on the water in a boat filled with other people. So it's hard to determine who's making that momentum in the boat, who's making that boat go faster. And so the coaches rely heavily on ergs and erg tests, which is when you do the length of a race, which is 2,000 meters on the erg machine. So literally for about 200 strokes, while you're doing an erg test, you can see your score on the screen telling you, are you going faster? Are you going slower? So it is stressful, it is important, and it's sort of like your big evaluation throughout the year. And during these erg tests, I always had sort of a strategy of approaching them. And it's all about holding and pushing. So you kind of are focusing on each stroke, every single 230 strokes of that erg test, one stroke at a time. And eventually you get to a point during the erg test, often in the third 500, when your legs start to go numb, or you feel like you literally cannot push one more stroke. Your body starts to give out. And that's sort of when you have to kick your mind into gear. And that's when I think about holding and pushing. You tell yourself that you can do one more stroke, 10 more strokes. You count that out in your head. And it's all about seeing that score on the screen. And that score can be representative of life, right? Of when we're having a downtime or when something's going poorly. It's all about holding what you have and what you've created in that moment, holding that split, and then taking a deep breath, sitting up, counting, and saying to yourself, in 2, I am going to change the momentum of my life. I am going to go faster. And despite what you're feeling, you have to, in that moment, really breathe and give everything you have to push. And I mean, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but you want to hold and then get to a point where you can push forward and be faster and move on to the next step, right? And so I think that's just a really great representation of those small goals, like that individual stroke, leading you to the final goal of maybe getting your PR on an erg test. And getting the opportunity to race in an Olympic boat because of that erg. So people often say to me, oh, you've always, been successful. You've always been in these great boats. You've won so many medals. And yes, that's true. And I have some natural talent, but I've been given opportunities along the way, right? And I've made the most of those opportunities, even when it wasn't easy. I've faced challenges head on and I've conquered them, really earning each victory that I achieved. And I like to remind people that I tried out for the national team for 4 years before I actually made it, right? So for 4 years, I was rowing, taking erg tests, going on the water, competing against my teammates, trying to win that spot in a boat. And for 4 years, it didn't happen. But throughout those 4 years, I kept my goal in mind. I persisted. I was relentless. And of course, there were days along the journey where I wanted to cry, where I wanted to quit, where I literally felt like my body couldn't take one more stroke. But I didn't quit. I held and then I pushed. And I chose to see every day as a new opportunity. You know, something about just showing up and physically being there and saying, what can I do today? How can I be better? How can I change the momentum that I've been maybe having if I'm having a rough time? How can I support my teammates? What can I do to draw inspiration from them and be inspired to continue to attack to get my goal, right? But sometimes it's just about showing up, being there for your teammates, and continuing to take that next stroke, that next step towards your goal. And it was truly about being relentless, and that allowed me to ultimately achieve the goal that I set out for myself. So, thank you guys.
Wow. Caroline, thank you so much. I actually learned more about you and a lot more about rowing. You've been so great in helping me through these days that I've been pushing and pushing and pushing. And really, when I go outside and see you and Brandon and John Henry, it really just helps me come back to earth and reminds me that there's this beautiful neighborhood we live in and there are things that are outside of all the pushing. So thank you so much. Okay, guys, I hope you're having a great time. I'm just going to keep saying that because really that is what I hope you're having a good time and learning and being inspired. The next person that I'd like to bring up, you may have seen earlier. He is a dear friend that I made a while back ago. I've never met him in person, but we don't need to do that anymore because we have the metaverse. Mike is a 3-time Wall Street Journal and USA Today bestselling author who has also been recognized by Inc. magazine. And we have the former CEO of Mansueto Ventures here today with us, Eric Schurenberg. So say hello to him of Inc. Let me see where I was. I got all excited. He's been on Inc. magazine. I think it's the Inc. 5000, like me, for 3 years in a row. His companies have generated hundreds of millions over the past 10 years selling products direct to consumer. He also works with authors in marketing their books, like me, in an effort to get them to the bestseller lists. He has his Juris Doctorate from Suffolk University Law School and his Bachelor of Science from Springfield College. Please welcome to the stage my friend, Mike Alden.
Wow. Thank you so much, Natasha. Again, what an amazing event. And this whole crew is just doing such a tremendous job. Again, my name is Mike Alden, and I want to thank all of you for being here and spending, your time, not only with me, but all the other amazing speakers and obviously also, of course, Natasha. In 1987, my mom was infected with HIV. I found out actually by reading her diary. My stepfather, who eventually died of AIDS, was the one who infected her. My father was addicted to cocaine. My stepmother died of an overdose. One of my brothers died of an overdose. Another brother did time in prison for distribution. Another brother was in rehab for a heroin addiction. Kid I grew up with was in jail for life for murder. When I was a kid in elementary school, middle school, and high school, I stood in the separate line because my lunch was subsidized by the state. I remember what it was like on Thanksgiving and Christmas to have the Salvation Army show up to my home and subsidize our food and gifts. When I was in high school, I had friends and their parents told me that I'd be dead or in jail by the time I was 17. My guidance counselor, Mr. Sheriff, and I smile because I thank him for this, he told me that college wasn't for everybody. We all go through adversity in our lives. We all go through very difficult moments in our lives. But one of the key things that separates the good from the great is what you decide to do with that adversity, how you decide to get through that adversity and use it to your advantage. When you think about Natasha Miller and the things that she's gone through, if you've read her book, I mean, man, I don't know if you know a lot about the story. She talked a little bit about it earlier, right from the very beginning. But at a very young age, she grew up in a very, very difficult household that was very traumatic. There was physical and mental abuse. And then that one day, she was dropped off at a homeless shelter on Christmas. And I think about what she has done now. She's also been recognized by Inc. magazine 3 times in a row. She's an accomplished violinist. She's an accomplished vocalist. She's sung in front of crowds of over 50,000 people. She's built a company that not only employs people, but has generated millions of dollars and is highly acclaimed within the industry of what she does. And I think about really kind of how she did it. And of course, it's about that relentless tenacity that she's had throughout her life, that desire to get out of the situation that she was in. And the only way she could really do it is through that relentless tenacity, but it's also how she did it. You know, Caroline touched upon this a little bit as well, and I'm going to get into some of the stuff that also resonated what Caroline was just talking about. But when you think about your pain, when you think about your trauma, I want you to think about it right now. Think about the difficult stuff that you've been through throughout your life. We all have it. We all have our own versions of it. But the other part I really want you to think about is I want you to think about where you are today. The fact that you're here today, the fact that you got through today is really, really what is important. That is the key part of being relentless, right? We know the classic of being able to get up when being knocked down, but it's also about being able to get up over and over and over. And how Natasha did it is also a great part of her story. It's more than just being relentless. It's more than just the tenacity that she had. It's also how she did it over time. You know, several years ago, I was in a spinning class of all places. I'm a pretty big dude. And if you've ever been in a spinning class, you know, with Peloton now, I'm sure a bunch of people have Pelotons. It's very similar. So you're in a spinning class and, you know, you have the instructor up front and the instructor, you know, they're in essence almost like a motivational speaker themselves. And I'm in this class and there's a woman up front. Her name's Nicole. And she says, look, this is a 45-minute class. We have 5 minutes left in this class. Because I want you to give me 5% more effort. Because if you give me 5% more effort, you're going to burn more calories. Your heart rate's going to increase. When you get off the bike, your metabolic rate's going to stay elevated. And you're going to burn more calories just sitting there. And ultimately, you're going to live a healthier and happier life. And then she said, anybody can do anything 5% more. You see, again, this tenacity and this relentlessness that we're talking about with Natasha's book, those are two very, very key elements. But it's about what, again, Caroline talked about this a few minutes ago. It is about those micro successes day in and day out. You see, so many people believe, and you know, it's a big misnomer, and the science proves this. So many people believe that you have to go in 100%, that you have to be all in instantly, that you have to give 10x effort at all times. And that's not true. The science proves it. Our bodies, our brains are not wired that way. But how they are wired is to be able to have those micro wins, those micro successes day in and day out, and compounding on those successes day in and day out. It's about not only being relentless, but about being consistent over time. You know, in sales or in marketing or whatever it is, it's that one more phone call. It's that one more text message. It's that one more email. It's that one more face-to-face. It's that one more knock on the door. As it relates to fitness, it's that one more rep, right? It's that one more block that you're trying to run around as you're trying to jog or whatever it is. And again, Caroline touched upon this as well. And it's about doing that when you don't want to do it. That's what separates the good from the great. That's a big part of being relentless. Doing it when you don't want to do it. Doing it when you don't feel like getting out of bed. In fact, I was texting with Natasha this morning. She was in bed this morning. I know she wanted to get out of bed, but there are some times where we just don't want to do it. And what I've learned from others, and in my book, 5% More, is that's all it really takes. It's the very, very small things that successful people do over time that allows them to become successful, that allows them to be great. You know, The title of my book is 5% More. And I'm talking about doing all these little small things over and over and over again and compounding on them. And that works. But the real key is the last 5%. You see, a lot of us can put in that effort, but so many of us get sidetracked. That adverse moment happens to us and it breaks us. If you think about Natasha's childhood and my childhood that I just described, and so many others, most of them, they never make it out. They're not able to get through it. That difficult moment in their life cripples them forever. But if they had just known that if they just pushed a little bit harder, if they had just done it a little bit more, if they just made it through that difficult time, and again, just push through just a little bit more, they will come through the other side and ultimately be successful. It's really, really simple. But if you think about the 5% more mentality, whether it be in business, whether it be in your personal life, whether it be in athletics, whether it be in academics, it's the very, very small difference, that little extra effort that people take in order to be great. When you take a look at Natasha's companies and you take a look at what she's done even here, right here in the metaverse, because I've watched it and I talk to her almost every day. She's going above and beyond each and every day, doing more than what most people are willing to do. That's what makes people great. That's what makes people successful. But the other key is being consistent and then ultimately breaking through on that last 5%. So whatever it is you're going through in life, the difficult moments in life, those moments where you're like, man, I just don't know if I can make it through. I don't know if I can continue. I say to you, anybody can do anything 5% more. Again, my name is Mike Alden. Thank you so much for having me. This is just an amazing event. Natasha, you're amazing. Congratulations on the book. And thanks everybody for being here.
Mike Alden, I love you. I just can't wait to meet you in June when I come to finish my entrepreneurial master's program through EO at MIT. That was a humble brag. Okay, so dubbed the business mystic, Finnian Kelly is a transformational intentionality speaker and coach known for his unique ability to awaken consciousness in business leaders and inspire entrepreneurs to find deeper levels of meaning and purpose in their endeavors. As the founder of Intentionality Inc., a comprehensive philosophy and program designed to help everyday people create extraordinary futures, Finnian leads world-class events and retreats, inspiring attendees to connect deeply with their businesses and themselves. Finnian offers unmatched resources and guidance for people of all ages and backgrounds to live in alignment and discover their true nature. In this presentation, Finnian will guide you toward a life of intentional living and infinite possibilities. Please welcome my fellow EO member, Finnian Kelly.
Hi, everyone, and thank you so much, Natasha. So you would have heard from my introduction that I'm all about intentionality. And I think, actually, I know Natasha oozes intentionality, as you can tell from this book launch. It's very inspiring for someone who's in the final stages of writing their book. I'm inspired, a little bit daunted, but also incredibly inspired. So how does this theme of intentionality relate to what we're talking about today? Well, intentionality to me is defining how you want to feel and then taking deliberate action towards it. You'll see that it's the combination of vision plus action. Now, there's a lot of people in the world who are taking a lot of action. They're just going through each day, taking action, but they don't really have a clear vision for their life. So what actually happens is that potentially they're living someone else's vision for their life. Now, on the other side, there's some people who have great vision, great ideas, but they don't know how to line up their daily behaviors to actually get the outcomes that they want. So it's important that we have the two. Now, you would have also heard that it's about feelings. Intentionality is all about feelings because ultimately that's all we are. We're a big bunch of feelings, and what determines whether we feel like we're flourishing and we're feeling really great in life is if we're having more positive emotions and more positive feelings than negative ones. So we're feeling things like peace and connection and abundance and gratitude. When we have more of that, then we're able to really feel like we're doing well in life. Because unfortunately, what happens in the modern day world is we've got very focused on this story of success. And success to us is goals and outcomes and materialistic achievements. And what often happens is we get there and we realize for a second, it gives us a little dopamine rush. But then, unfortunately, it doesn't last for very long. And often we actually feel worse afterwards because we thought something was going to give us fulfillment and it actually didn't. So this is why we need to start with intentions first. And intentions are all about feelings. Once we get really clear on intentions, we have a lot more clarity around what are the behaviors that we need to take each day. So let's give you a great example. The way I operate my life is I have 4 different paths in my life. We have the grounding path, which is all about your direction, what really matters to you, your values, how are you living your life. And it's called the grounding path because it grounds you back. You don't get caught up into other areas. You can look into this world and come back into the present moment in what really matters to you. Then there's the prosperity path, all about how do we create and earn money, and how do we spend it, and how do we invest it, and how do we use it for impact. We have the well-being path, which is all about your physical, your mental and spiritual well-being. And then we have the love path, which is all about self-love, love with your intimate partner, with your family and friends. So in each of these different pathways, rather than getting caught up with what are all the different goals that I want to have, I get really connected. What are the core feelings I want to be feeling in each of these different pathways? So for example, in the love path, I want to feel peaceful, playful, and connected. There are 3 feelings that I get super connected with. If I have them in my relationship with myself, with my intimate partner and my friends and family, then it doesn't really matter what's happening in my life. I feel really, really wonderful. Now, how do I bring this into my life? So in the morning, I visualize and I start getting connected to these feelings and I see myself going throughout the day. And then I get connected to go, what are the behaviors that I need to do to bring me more of those feelings? Because behaviors always lead to the feelings. And so then when I'm in a situation, for example, I might have a little bit of a moment with my partner where I get triggered and I might want to do a reactionary sort of complaint, or I might want to say something snarky. And instead I remember, hang on, I want to feel peaceful, playful, and connected. Is that reaction going to lead to that? No, it's probably going to create a lot of disconnection. It's not going to be very playful. And I can tell you it won't be very peaceful. So instead I go, what behavior could lead me to doing that? I take a breath, I respond, and maybe I go in with a hug, or maybe I just say, I'm sorry, or maybe I just say, I love you. So when you get connected to these feelings, you'll notice that your life just starts working out the way you want, because naturally you have a vision for how you want to feel. And then, every moment you have free will about how you choose to respond to a situation rather than react, and with what behavior. And that's what really drives our feelings. So that's just a cool little technique you can to really get connected to intentionality and change your whole life. So what else with intentionality? So something I'm relentless with is living life on my terms and living life that brings me fulfillment and free from societal programs. You may have heard in life that in our body, we have 2 minds. It's actually one mind, just broken up into 2. We have the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. The conscious mind is the ability we have to decide how we're going to respond in that situation. It's choosing what do we want to put our attention to. It's our making the different decisions in the moment. Then we have the subconscious mind, which is full of our beliefs. It's our automatic programming. And it's really valuable for us for our subconscious program, because it means that we don't have to think most of the day. We can just program, and autopilot will do it. Think about when you're driving a car, brushing your teeth, your subconscious mind is doing that, so you don't have to waste any energy. But where it goes wrong is when someone else has programmed us with faulty programming. So whether it's been through our parents, through our school system, friends, society, we may have things inside of us that aren't working for us. We might have certain beliefs that are driving thoughts, which then are driving behaviors, which then result in a feeling, which then reaffirms the belief. So for example, a belief might be, I'm not worthy. That could have been an easy belief that Natasha could have adopted when she had to go into the foster home. I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, because how could my parents not want me around? And that could have driven a bunch of different thoughts, which then drive behaviors and drove feelings. And a lot of people succumb to that, unfortunately. They have a situation and then they interpret it with their young mind, and then that sets off a chain of events in their life. So I had a very similar moment to Natasha, where on my 10-year-old birthday, I felt like I was abandoned. And for that was my core belief that I'm always going to be abandoned. So I'd have these little negative thoughts ticking on, which drive certain behaviors like pushing away from relationships or saying things to protect myself, which then would result in feelings of me feeling separated or feeling alone, which would reaffirm that belief that I was abandoned. And I eventually did it in such a powerful way that I ended up getting divorced one time. So I was relentless and going, I need to unwire the subconscious programming so I can start living life on my terms, one that's really going to fulfill me and bring me that state of peace and joy and love. So I had to start being relentless and going in and going, why is it that I'm behaving this way? Why is it that I'm feeling this way? And looking at it and going, oh, wow, there's another negative belief loop running in my life. And then I'd look at that belief loop and go, okay, I don't have to keep doing that way. I have free will over how I behave. So what would be a positive belief loop, and what behaviors would that person be doing to rewire their subconscious programming and work in a belief loop that works for them? And that's what I've been relentlessly doing over the last 5 years. And I can honestly say I am more happy and more fulfilled and more grateful and in a state of peace and love than I've ever been before. And all it was this relentless commitment to myself that I didn't have to feel the way I was feeling. Yes, a lot of things had happened in my life which were unfair, that were painful, that were traumatic. However, they happened at that time. And those people were hurting me in that moment. The rest of my life, I was choosing to hurt myself. And that's where I realized that I was the only one who could get myself out of this situation. And I've been relentless about choosing peace and love ever since. So what I really want you to be taking away today is that you have free will over how you behave. That's the only thing that you have free will over. In each moment, you can choose whether to respond or to react. The way to do that is to always take a breath. Before you give your automatic response, take a breath, calm down your nervous system, lower your cortisol, and get connected to the feeling that I want to feel in the next present moment. And make sure it's a positive emotion. And then really go, well, what's the behavior that's going to lead me to that? And choose to lead with that behavior in a responsive way, and your whole life will change. It's why I say you're only one breath away from intentionality, because one breath enables you to do one behavior change, which will change your life. We don't have to get focused on the big things like what a lot of the speakers have been talking about today. It's all about the little daily behavior changes, and everything else will work out for itself. So thank you so much for listening to me today. I highly recommend you pursue this life of intentionality. It's really about getting clear about what matters to you, and then making sure that you're lining up your behaviors each day to live that life. And then anything is possible. You can live an extraordinary life. If anyone is a testament to this, that's Natasha, because she has lived an extraordinary life. She's an extraordinary woman, and she helps others live an extraordinary life as well. So thank you so much for listening to me today. And I look forward to hearing about your pursuit of intentionality.
Wow, Finnian, thank you so much. I'm so glad to have met you, and I appreciate you accepting the request for you to do this with us today. The next thing we're going to do, we're running a little late, but that's okay. We're having fun, right? We are going to give away the Be Relentless box. And I just wanted to tell you, it's about a $3,500 value box of goodies. And this is why. There's the book, the signed book. There's this gold necklace, the Memoir Sherpa Guide, which is, I don't know if you can see it. It's really cool. And then the Memoir Sherpa Guided Write Your Own Story Memoir course that I'm going to be teaching. It's a 12-week course. It's guided by me and other incredible people in the publishing industry. Then the most amazing pan-crafted malted milk balls you've ever tasted in your world. They are not milk. They are not Whoppers. They're like really special. And then, of course, there's popcorn, scratch, and sniff stickers. And if you're wondering why those are in the box, you have to read the book. Okay, so I would not be here. I would not have this book out into the world if it weren't for this next person who is rocking my world. You heard from her earlier. She didn't get a proper introduction because I just dragged her on the stage. Amber Vilhauer is an award-winning digital marketing strategist who supports authors, speakers, and coaches to establish a powerful, integrated online presence like my websites, both official natashamiller.com and therelentlessbook.com. And gets results and empowers them to make a difference in their industry. She supports entrepreneurs through branding and website development, online marketing, and live streaming services, plus #1 bestseller book launches like mine. Please welcome to the stage, Ms. Amber Vilhauer.
Thank you, Natasha. Just as you were introducing me, I was talking to your team in the green room and I said, I love that woman. So this is just, again, a really, really special moment for me because I met Natasha a year ago and it was personal to me from day one. And seeing her heart and seeing her vision and watching her lean into all of the difficult moments of this journey to rise into her greatest self so that she could be here in front of you today. It's just remarkable to witness. Authors have a lot that they need to overcome in order to get to this moment. And I was looking through Natasha's influencer box, and she had something written on this piece of paper that I wanted to read to you. She said, at the beginning of the writing process, it was all about me. Now I've realized that my life can have a positive impact on others, which is much more important. Very simply stated, but really, truly what a lot of authors experience in this journey. Most of my clients have been working on book launches for 15 years, and many of them start because they want to grow their business. They want to grow their status. They want to grow authority. They want to get more leads. Well, that is all about you. But in the process of preparing for the book launch, it becomes about something so much greater. And it's really meaningful for me, for my entire team at NGNG, which I just have to say a big, huge thank you for the way that you are showing up and supporting Natasha and her whole community here today. Really means a lot to me to be aligned with such great people. Mark Lachance, also one of our clients. I loved what he was talking about, the crew. It's so important. That leads into a couple of things that I want to share with you today, which are really some of the biggest mistakes that authors make. What is the future of book marketing? And if you're even thinking about writing a book, what are some of the tips that I can impart to you in the next, 8 or 9 minutes to really set you on the right course? Because as you know, there's a lot of mixed information online, and I'm going to give you my absolute best here in the next few minutes. It really comes as a huge surprise to authors to learn that the average author is only selling a few hundred copies of their book in the lifetime of the title. You heard that correct. I didn't say on launch day or launch week. In the lifetime of the title, the average author is only going to sell a few hundred copies of their book. Now that pisses me off. I don't know about anybody else in the audience, but you have worked too hard on this book. Look at everything that Natasha had to go through to write these words onto those papers that now we get to read and experience today. It's a very big deal. So you've worked too hard on this for sales to flop. And there are some mistakes that the average author makes, and I want to share those with you. The first thing is that they don't give themselves enough time to launch. Oh my gosh, they don't give themselves enough time to launch. So many times, day after day, I get new authors coming to me saying, okay, I want to launch my book in about 2 months. What do we do? What do we do here? And I'm thinking, well, that doesn't really give us much time to prepare. Natasha did it right. She started planning for this a year ago. So I was really proud of her for giving herself enough time. Something that makes me and my company different than every other book launch manager out there is that we're not just focused on the book launch day itself. We are focused on preparing the business for the book launch. So when I think back to everything that Natasha has accomplished in the past year, she established new branding. She looked at who her avatar was, what is her core values? What kind of organization did she want to build? How could that manifest into a website that was experiential and interactive and baked with connection to the prospects coming in? And then how could she construct a team around her that could attract in those qualified buyers? And then how could we experiment with a monetization model up front? How could we start getting sales? How could we have this mega launch? And then how could we leverage that launch to scale up an entire company? And what's the vision for that? These are just some of the things that Natasha did right in the course of this book launch, and something for you to keep in mind, whether you're launching a memoir or a fiction or a nonfiction business book or what have you. All of the same rules apply. Another mistake that authors make is that they don't really give themselves a plan. They sort of just wing it, and they don't know what they don't know. So they get to the launch week and their sales fall short. You want to make sure that you have a proper plan and you can stay on track with that timeline. Another mistake is that you haven't saved enough budget for your book launch. You would be shocked and floored as to the investment that it takes to launch a book properly. Now, to be fair, a lot of that budget goes into building the infrastructure for the business and then scaling up after the fact, which is why the planning is important so that you can get an ROI as soon as possible in the course of the book launch. And the last mistake is not preparing yourself by having the right team, speaking back to what Mark was saying as well. I mean, the reality is that authors should really only be focused on finishing the book, marketing, speaking through video, podcasting. I would say sales is what you should be focused on, and networking. Everything else, I would love to see you delegate out to capable team members. If I had to give you one tip for book launches, is that it's all about relationships. That's why, as the author, I want you in the seat of building relationships, networking, collaboration. What could we do together? I'll get you on my podcast if I come speak to your mastermind group, or maybe you could buy bulk orders. And then how could I be of service to your community? 2020 changed everything. I know, we know that, but 2020 changed everything in the way of marketing as well. Because if you remember back to that time, it was like such an explosive wake-up call. We looked around and all of a sudden we didn't know who to trust anymore. What information was false, what was true. The sexy internet marketing headline and the cookie cutter content and the automated funnels, those didn't work the same way that they used to, because people woke up and they started to buy things based on their own intuition, based on their feelings. I loved the last presentation. It was absolutely phenomenal. That changes your marketing. If you put a sexy headline out there on social media, people might look at it and think, so what? Been there, done that. Heard it, don't believe it, not engaging with it. People want real. When I looked at the speaker lineup today, it was full of people that were authentic, that were leaning in, that were really pouring themselves in to you. It wasn't about them. Look at me and how great I am speaking in the metaverse. It was about pouring into you. And that is the future of marketing. That is the future of launches. Absolutely. Many authors have a problem with marketing themselves because I think they don't have a good model for what it could be like. When we were just in the green room, I was giving Natasha praise and I said, you know what I appreciate so much about you, Natasha, is how real you are. Look at her up on this stage today. She picks up her guitar and she's like, well, I hope it's in tune. I hope I remember the words. She is just fully authentically herself, oozing love, here for you in celebration of a big moment for her in her life. That is the future of book launches and the future of marketing. This actually comes as a relief to many authors that I work with because, they don't really like feeling like they're under a microscope and that the spotlight is always on them. This is why authors have a hard time with video and social media marketing. And I'm here to tell you that if you want to have an awesome book launch, don't necessarily make it about you, make it about the cause. I love that Natasha is flashing this shiny, bright, light on homelessness, on self-harm, on, being raised in a really abusive and traumatic environment. That is a cause that we can stand behind, right? That's where we connect is in, oh, I can relate to this piece. Yeah, that happened to me as well. And I wish I could help more people and show them that they can make a different choice, that they don't have to be run by subconscious patterns, that we actually can lean in and go 5% harder, like Mike said. Absolutely. This is what unites a community, is behind a cause. So when you're thinking about writing your next book, I don't want you to worry about you so much. The success will come, the copies will come, the fame will come. Everything that's supposed to be and what could be for you is out there for the taking, but you just have to show up and take action, lean into those hard moments. And in your marketing, be really consistent about marketing the cause. And you are the facilitator of this conversation in all of your marketing leading up to the book launch itself. People will connect with you around that cause. This is how you're building an engaged community. And it's the community that is here to help you market and launch that book with success. I mean, Natasha is #2 right now in Barnes & Noble. That's incredible. That's because of you. That's because of this community. That's what the metaverse is all about, is that community as well. So Natasha, I just am so thankful for you for being such a fantastic leader, showing authors in this audience right now what is the future of book launches, what is the future of marketing, how to take a stand behind a cause, how to create meaningful connection, and to build a remarkable community. Really well done on a successful book launch. And thank you again for choosing me to help support it.
Wow. Thank you, Amber, for everything. We have a lot of years more of working together. I can't wait. Your team is amazing too. And a quick happy birthday to Amanda, who's in the audience. Her birthday's tomorrow. And she resonates a lot with my story. And I just want to thank her for your support. Okay, so this is the end. We are at the end of the Metaverse book launch for my book, Relentless, Homeless Teen to Achieving the Entrepreneur Dream, that Amber helped me name. By the way, that was one of the hardest part of writing the book, by the way, is the title. We hope that all of you feel deeply inspired to go back to your lives and tackle your biggest dreams with relentless tenacity. It's available right now for purchase on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple, Kobo, et cetera, et cetera. It's 99 cents for the ebook. And we put that up there to enable you to easily get the book. And also we'd love you. Okay, I mean me. We would love you to write a review. It can be whatever you want to say. It doesn't have to be glorious and like, oh my gosh, she's great. Although I hope that you love the book. I want your authentic, real review. It helps with the algorithm. It helps push it out to people that are looking for books. I honestly don't understand it, but you probably do. We would love to have you stick around. We're going to keep this event open for a while so that we can have one-on-one conversations and group conversations. So come find me and ask me to chat. Network with people, make some new friends, and any media inquiries can go to Madeline at officialnatashamiller.com. She's been working her butt off. So has Patty. Marketing and bulk buy inquiries can be directed to Patty at officialnatashamiller.com. Thank you so much for joining. And remember, it's not enough to be resilient. You have to be relentless. I'll see you out there. Thank you to the AllSeated ExVo team as well.